Late one night, a drunken man staggers into his city apartment only to find that both the lights and television have stopped working. Gripping a golf club for protection, he peers out the window, suspecting a burglar might be nearby. But the truth is far more terrifying. A dark silhouette suddenly appears behind him. When the man swings his club in panic, the shadowy figure doesn't even flinch. Instead, the mysterious intruder overpowers him with ease, tossing him across the room and infecting him with something sinister through mere contact. A strange tattoo emerges on his wrist, his skin darkens, and before he can react, the creature sinks its teeth into his neck like a zombie. Moments later, the man dies, and the creature itself crumbles into ashes. Sometime later, the police take over the case. The autopsy reveals that the victim died of paralytic shellfish poisoning. And what's even stranger, the supposed murderer has already been dead for 3 months. Detective Young, who has seen a share of bizarre cases, immediately knows who to call for help. Meanwhile, Jean He, a well-known journalist and radio host, is promoting her new book about supernatural events she has covered on her independent news channel. During her live show, a listener calls in with a chilling voice, claiming to be the killer from the very murder case the police are investigating. He requests that Jean He personally meet and interview him the next day, giving her a specific location before hanging up. After the unsettling broadcast, Jean He returns to her newsroom, where chaos erupts as the staff scrambles to handle a flood of phone calls from horrified listeners. She's introduced to Jesse, a new intern who will serve as her on-site videographer, and later meets Kim, her colleague who has been helping gather background information on the murder. From the details Kim provides, Jean He learns that the supposed murderer was once a pharmaceutical researcher named Samael. He was found dead months earlier, wearing a shirt marked with a number. One photo catches Jean He's attention. A close-up of the attacker's wrist showing a tattoo commonly used in spell rituals. Detective Young, who also happens to be Jean He's husband, arrives to discuss the case and warn her against getting involved in a dangerous interview. Despite his concerns, Jean He insists on meeting the mysterious caller, believing this could be her last chance to uncover the truth. Realizing he can't dissuade her, Young reluctantly agrees, but only if she brings a security escort along. Jean He accepts the condition, determined to face whatever awaits her the next day. Kim shows Jean He a video he received from Japan. The video shows a young sorcerer performing an exorcism in a haunted house. From there, Jean He recognizes So-Jin as a girl who has been involved in several incidents she writes about. After some time passes, Jean He visits a cafe, where she recalls the investigation she did with So-Jin and discovers the girl's magical abilities. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the hoodie-wearing murderer attacks Jean He. However, as soon as the attacker grips her neck, he drops her and twists his body on the ground, along with So-Jin appearing behind him wearing sorcerer's attire. At that moment, Jean He wakes up and realizes that everything that happened was just a dream. The next day, as the police closely monitor her efforts, Jean He and her team prepare to broadcast the interview through many cameras. A man named Park arrives, and to confirm his identity, he provides his identification number. Although his status is reported missing, a police check shows that he has no criminal record. 2 days earlier, Park is the one who sends the zombie to commit the murder. He claims that he's a spellcaster who has the ability to control corpses. The reason he asks her to participate in this interview is that he wants to warn everyone that he will eliminate 3 more people soon. The names he mentions as his next victims are executives from Sunjil Pharmaceuticals. To stop Park from eliminating more people on the day he specifies, the company's chairman must attend Jean He's program and apologize. Jean He is also responsible for ensuring that the apology is sincere. Suddenly, Park pulls out a knife to threaten Jean He, holding her hostage as they move out. As the police rush to surround them, Jesse uses the camera to track them, ensuring the continuation of the event. Park and Jean He enter the elevator, and Young also manages to get in before the elevator closes, but the other agents must take the stairs. A fight between Young and Park begins, but Park shows phenomenal strength and quickly defeats Young. During the fight, Young's gun slips, and Jean He manages to seize it and shoot Park in the leg. However, despite the shot, it turns out to be ineffective. To protect himself from the now surrounding police officers, Park uses the knife once again to threaten Jean He as they reach the ground level. Now, suddenly, Jean He observes a strange tattoo appearing on Park's wrist, and she knows that Park is not the real killer. Instead, the real killer has used the tattoo to deliver his message. Essentially, Park is just another zombie who only wants to deliver a message before disintegrating into dust. And finally, he dies. The Sunjil Pharmaceuticals board of directors reviews the interview later to decide what to do. Two directors named Min Sub and Lee are among those who will ultimately face the consequences. However, the boss named Byun Sung is currently recovering at his villa due to blood sugar issues, and his daughter, Mi Young, handles this situation on his behalf. Since he is the first person on the list, Min Sub is in a state of panic, but Mi Young firmly refuses to contact her father to prevent worsening his condition. In the midst of disagreement, Lee finally speaks up, stating that they should let the police do their job, and the company will provide a large number of bodyguards for Min Sub to ensure his safety. After the meeting ends, Young and his colleague, Kong, ask Lee and Mi Young some questions. Mi Young explains that Park, who is the new head of the research and development team, disappears without a trace after completing a project transfer. When Park's family reports him missing, they say that he never returns from his work, but Mi Young cannot help them with this. They also do not have any records of Park's last working day since he previously worked at the company's old facility, which is now abandoned. Young then asks Lee what Byun Sung should apologize for. However, Mi Young does not allow Lee to answer Young's question and only asks that the police do their job. Meanwhile, Jin Hee and a detective named Yu engage in a conversation with a professor named Tak, a specialist in supernatural studies. After investigating, he finds that the tattoo creates zombies. Furthermore, he reveals the fact that Indonesia is the only country that uses this specific design. They have shamans who can transform bodies in various ways, and the most common location for their rituals is where patients die. They combine earth mud, the shaman's blood, and the deceased's hair or nails to create a figure, which they then place on the spell design. This explains why all criminals placed under the spell have disintegrated into clay. Jin Hee then receives a phone call from Kim at night. He has identified the name of the first person who carried out the attack after their family filed a missing persons report 5 years ago. From that information, Kim plans to interview the person who makes the fake passport tomorrow, because it seems that the others have already entered South Korea using false documents. The next day at the local prison, Kim pays Hwang for information. Hwang agrees to give some information to Kim in exchange for cigarettes and a sentence reduction. We find that Hwang previously worked for Sunjil Pharmaceuticals. It should be noted that the company started recruiting people secretly for clinical trials about 6 months ago. The recruits are required to wear gray jackets with numbers printed on them, and the position offers a large salary. Because there are not enough homeless people who meet the standards, Hwang begins to use illegal immigrants, as all of these people who are nearly 100 years old pass away within a few months. Only the homeless and those without families are allowed to participate in the research. Meanwhile, to ensure that Min Sub is safe, the Sunjil Pharmaceuticals headquarters is surrounded by guards and law enforcement. This indicates that a large number of reporters, including Jin Hee and her team, gather outside. Someone wearing a jacket approaches the building, and the police try to stop him. However, the zombie easily uses his strength to defeat all the police officers. After he is overcome, a large number of corpses run to join the zombie. The regular soldiers cannot stop the horde of zombies due to their size and strength, and they easily break through the defense lines set up by the guards to enter the building. Young decides to accompany Lee and Min Sub out of the building before the zombies reach them, considering that they continue to climb the stairs even though they are being shot at. When the zombies realize that the group has arrived at the elevator that will take them to the underground parking lot, they jump on the stairs to reach the lower floor faster. This is due to their ability to immediately stand and realign their bones. When Jin Hee and her cameraman see the zombies fall to the ground, they go to the parking lot in their van. While there, they accidentally hit some zombies. Even though this provides an opportunity for Young's group to escape in a vehicle, it is not enough. After approaching taxis on the surrounding highway, the zombies easily pull the drivers out of their vehicles, take control, and start chasing Young throughout the city. To ensure that they record the entire incident for their broadcast, Jin Hee also follows from behind. As a result of a series of unexpected turns and twists, the taxis finally surround Young's vehicle, and the zombies jump onto it to attack the people inside. After Young's vehicle finally stops outside a tunnel, the zombies quickly drag Min Sub out of the tunnel to end his life, and finally he dies. Even though Young is injured during the battle, Lee remains safe for now. However, the virus has now infected Young. After completing their mission, the zombies turn to dust like before, and finally, they die. Jin Hee can only see Young from a distance in the hospital. as he is quarantined. Byung-sung receives a visit from a frightened Lee at night, where he asks Byung-sung to apologize to end this massacre. However, Byung-sung does not feel regret for conducting experiments that he believes are very important. He makes the decision to tell his daughter first because he believes that she is the future of the company. After giving up, Lee leaves, and as he goes, he finally meets Mi-young. Lee remembers that after decades, the company only produces medicine to benefit people, as has always been his and Byung-sung's wish. But he realizes that Mi-young is the head of the horrifying experiments that she pushes to make more money. Meanwhile, Jin-hee, Kim, and the investigators contact Tak at work to discuss the events that happened. While observing a photo, he realizes that if zombies lose their hands, they will not be able to move. Therefore, tattoos symbolize their vulnerability. Additionally, the doctors have told them that they cannot find a cure for Young, but Tak assures them that the curse is not a poison. So, to save him, they must stop the shaman. Kim reveals all the facts he obtains from Huang after Tak hangs up the phone. Kim reveals that a strange Indonesian man once visited Huang 1 month after all his recruits died. Huang reveals that his family worked for the company. Therefore, Huang sends the strange Indonesian man to visit Park in an effort to ease his worries. It is clear that this person is the shaman, as Huang describes his clothing as similar to that of Taoist priest. Suddenly, Lee comes to reveal what actually happens. He reveals that a certain poison that can be used in chemical weapons is the purpose of their project, which has been designed by the funders of a major country. He insists that the organization treats the homeless and the poor cruelly, and he provides several documents relevant to the investigation, including a list of recruited people. Before leaving, Lee tells everyone that the possibility of Byung-sung apologizing is very small. Kim realizes that the files themselves are not very valuable, as they could contain fictitious identities. Therefore, they must compare the information with the official police database to find the shaman's family. At the same time, Jin-hee recalls Tak's story about the zombie summoning ritual. According to Tak, if the location of the zombies' deaths is necessary, then the shaman should be present at the abandoned company laboratory building. The crew is then divided into 2 groups. Kim and Kong go to verify the names, while Jin-hee and Yu go to the laboratory, unaware that a stranger on a motorcycle is following them. Jin-hee and Yu find a room inside the abandoned building, decorated with terrifying magic symbols, and feel that Tak will not be able to investigate these symbols later. However, they do not realize that the cat moves on its own. As they climb the stairs to investigate the strange noises, a zombie suddenly blocks them. Fortunately, Yu reacts quickly, shooting the creature until it loses its hand. However, in his attempt, he runs out of ammunition. Jin-hee and Yu escape through a tunnel until they reach a room, which they secure by placing furniture in front of the door. However, a horde of zombies approaches from behind, forcing them to run away. But there are also zombies there, and they try to finish off Jin-hee by grabbing her neck. However, the stranger on the motorcycle manages to stop them. It turns out that the person is So-jin, who is Jin-hee's colleague, and who finally arrives back in the country. Using her abilities, she holds the zombie's head, and finally, he dies. So-jin then takes Jin-hee and Yu to another room, as the horde of zombies has managed to overcome the fragile furniture barrier. In this room, So-jin writes a spell on the floor to create a transparent barrier where she and Jin-hee hide. However, Yu fails to arrive on time and has to hide behind some furniture to avoid detection. After the zombies infiltrate the room and chase Yu, Jin-hee tells her that the tattoo on the zombie's hand creates a vulnerability, so So-jin leaves the protection to start attacking. So-jin is able to fight the zombies and take them down one by one easily, because she can use her abilities on the tattoos. After everything is resolved, So-jin and Jin-hee reunite and embrace each other. When they finally go out of the building in the daytime, So-jin shares her life story with them. She spent some time in Japan before moving to China, where a priest in a temple teaches her how to use her abilities. At that time, So-jin gets a vision that Jin-hee will experience a dangerous event, so So-jin decides to return to Jin-hee to protect her. When Yu interrupts their conversation, he tells them that he has found out that Lee has ended his life after doing something unthinkable, which causes Byung-sung to agree to apologize. Yu makes the decision to stay with So-jin because he believes that her abilities will be useful, while Jin-hee immediately returns to the city. Jin-hee takes her team for an interview, which is conducted in the building where Sunjil Pharmaceutical stands. Byung-sung delivers his apology to the general public for the recent events and promises to make the company more responsible in the future. However, Jin Hee reminds Byung-sung that the shaman's wish is an apology to the victims and their families, not to the general public. Although the chairman is uncertain, Mi-young urges him to do so to resolve the matter. When Byung-sung speaks, he sounds like a robot because he is not truly sincere about his apology. Jin Hee's refusal to accept such a negative attitude leads to a dispute between Mi-young and her. Meanwhile, at the abandoned laboratory, Tak, So-jin, and law enforcement officers explore the magical room. So-jin identifies the spells in the room as the same invisibility spell that she performs. By erasing the word no written on the ground, changing it to only and exists, So-jin manages to make the illusion disappear, and it is finally revealed that the area is actually a long corridor. The group continues through it until they reach a morgue, which displays a large number of magical symbols and clay statues similar to what Tak has described. As they enter a door near the front of the building, a strong light pushes them back, revealing a second room where they finally find a shaman. His barrier restrains all the team members except So-jin, who tries to break through while eliminating the zombies that the shaman throws at them. Meanwhile, Kim and Kong finally make some progress when they find crucial evidence that Jesse is actually one of the experiment subjects. Kim warns Jin Hee by sending a photo of the file. Jin Hee finally understands that she has chosen to record this to give Jesse access to Byung-sung. Because the apology seems insincere, Jesse finally reveals her tattoo and starts fighting the guards, while Mi-young rushes to take her father to safety. Jesse relentlessly chases them, eliminating all obstacles in her path toward the chairman's office, even jumping through a window to catch them. After defeating several security officers, Jesse enters the main office and approaches Byung-sung with the intention of ending his life. However, So-jin manages to get close to the shaman at the same time, using her ability to eliminate him, which in turn causes Jesse to turn into ashes, and finally, she is gone. In his last moments, the shaman looks at the final statue, which turns out to have Jesse's hair. As a result, So-jin gives it to him, allowing him to leave this world with his last relative, and finally he dies. Meanwhile, at the company, Mi-young takes advantage of the moment when all the guards are unconscious to enter the office, and using a tissue, she takes one of Jesse's fingers. After that, she infects her father, implying that it is time for him to step down and let the younger generation take over. As he closes his eyes and sees a bottle of poison in Mi-young's hand, Byung-sung realizes that Lee's death is truly a murder, and finally, the boss dies. While Mi-young sheds tears in the office, Jin Hee also enters at the same time. However, she knows the truth that Mi-young is only pretending, as they are fully aware of the reality. Moments later, the police arrive at the office. At the time Jesse is preparing the camera, she has already attached a microphone to Byung-sung's jacket beforehand to enhance audio transmission. So they now have a recording of everything he says while he is dying. Additionally, Mi-young is recorded on video so that she goes viral, and finally, she screams as loud as she can while being arrested by the police. Jin Hee and So-jin go to the hospital to visit Young after the incident. It turns out that Young finally recovers completely due to the shaman's death. Since So-jin has seen the shaman's memories while playing with Jesse when she was a child and has experienced the depth of his affection, she feels pity for the shaman. The authorities finally released Mi-young after 3 months, citing a lack of sufficient evidence. However, Jin Hee and So-jin approach Mi-young in the parking lot one day, intending to force her to confess if she chooses not to face terrible spiritual consequences. Meanwhile, a worker in a small community-based business receives a meager wage for his efforts. After his shift ends, he decides to go drinking. While drunk and wandering around the city, he meets a mysterious man who tries to cast a spell on the ground. The cursed movie ends with a drunk man having a strong desire to improve his life, then approaching the stranger to beg for his help, and finally, he is worshipped. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss the latest recaps.